Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. This session will be recorded for the people who were not able to attend at this time, but definitely want to check our story. Feel free to address questions during the presentation in the chat, or just note them down for our Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If you have followed our webinars, we have gone through different presentations on AI integrations and different scenarios in which AI can be used to ease the software development process in different phases of the cycle. Today, we'll continue with the tool that we built to support OpenEdge developers understand the code and how AI was used to implement the tool, as well as AI features to enhance the functionality and user experience. First, an introduction about ourselves. My name is Mihai Nagoe, and I'm Operations Manager within Wayfair, with a background in software development, mainly using Progress OpenEdge and the related technologies. I have today with me Vasile, one of our tech leads, and I will let him introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Vasile. I've been involved with Progress development since 2008. I've also been part of Wayfair team from the very beginning, started in 2013, and I'm looking forward to continue my work, providing more support to the community like we are just doing today with this tool. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasile. Short numbers about Wayfair. We're located in Cluj-Napoca, Romania. We have more than 13 years of experience with more than 90 dedicated Wayfarers. We have more than 50 satisfied customers, and our longest partnership is of more than 12 years. We're supporting businesses of all sizes to reach their goals. We're providing tailored services that cover modernization, new development, maintenance, quality assurance, and our 13 years of industry experience taught us the importance of top talent, shared knowledge, and close collaboration. One fun fact about Romania, Romanian high school robotics teams swept the top 4 placements at the first Tech Challenge World Championship held in Houston, Texas in early May this year. And also in June, 3 robotics teams won the Inspire Award at the European Primary Event Championship during First Tech Challenge 2026 in Eindhoven. Congratulations to the new generation of tech enthusiasts. Back to our agenda. Today we'll discuss about VS Code and its adoption in OpenEdge community. We'll go to AI as code companion, discuss a bit about code quality, and we'll have a demo where we'll see CrossWayAI in action. These are some scrambled words and some keywords we'll cover today by showcasing the VS Code extensions proudly built by us with the help of AI. VS Code. In the current landscape, the shift from Progress Dev Studio to VS Code is no longer just a trend for enthusiasts. It is officially supported and for many the preferred professional modern standard. Progress officially sponsors the OpenEdge ABL extension for VS Code, which is developed by Riverside Software. Compared to Developer Studio, VS Code is lightweight, it's snappy, starts up in seconds, code navigation is generally much faster and less prone to rebuilding hangs. And it's modern. The UI is cleaner, highly customizable, and has better window management. Some integrations with other tooling to give a few native Git support. AI tools like GitHub Copilot for ABL code generation adds a great help in reducing boilerplate and refactoring. It's easier to share project configurations via VS Code setting files, ensuring the whole team has the same linting, formatting, and build rules. Still is not a complete replacement, especially for older projects. We don't have the builder, but it's definitely a way to go. In 2026, we have moved past simple auto-completion assistance into the era of agentic workflows. AI is no longer just a digital rubber duck toy or a fancy copy-paste tool. It is a collaborative entity that participates in the entire software development lifecycle. As you can see in the present day, we can use agents to have autonomous task execution and repo-wide edits. AI is currently acting like an agent, which can read the entire repository, do changes across multiple files at once, run the unit tests, fix their own bugs based on test failures, understand the project architecture or naming conventions. The developer role has shifted, less time in typing syntax and more time reviewing and orchestrating. Developers' value is now in system architecture and problem decomposition, breaking a big business need into parts that AI can execute. Developers provide high-level vibes, natural language intent, and the AI handles the boilerplate. There are some potential downsides. Speed increased is a growing risk in architectural liability. Lack of strong architectural plan can develop mess of code that works but is impossible to maintain or scale. The companion is very powerful, but there is a need for bounded autonomy by keeping the human in the loop for critical paths like security or business logic, requiring manual approval. And there are some ethical considerations like power consumption, security and safety, and accountability. Let's discuss briefly on code quality. When aiming for a high quality code base, unit testing and code analysis act as two distinct but complementary safety nets. While one ensures the code works as intended, the other ensures the code is built to last. Unit testing focuses on the functional integrity of the smallest parts of your application, functions, methods, or procedures, while code analysis focuses on the structural health and maintainability of the code without necessarily executing it. At Wayfair, we're always striving on delivering high-quality code and adding tools that speed up the delivery and make the changes more transparent to one's critical eye or the customer. Let us building these two free-to-use VS Code extensions, which can add value to the development process, starting with planning, testing, documenting, refactoring, and reviewing the changes. Reviewing the changes in a visual manner directly in VS Code IDE. We have ABL Unit Runner and CrossWayAI. For these purposes, on increasing code quality, today we will focus on CrossWayAI, but this is a note that we're active in providing different solutions in the community. Okay, some of the CrossWayAI features. It started in 2019 with a customer request of change impact regarding what to test when a change is made in the code. The team worked on how to achieve this, and the solution was based on Xref compiled metadata and a visual representation of the output. About Xref, Xref output provides relevant information. The whole set of this information is collected in a repository, and then the system calculates the interaction of certain files across the whole application. Crossway, a bit of history, had custom-built logic to recursively calculate all possible interactions towards and from the file, and used draw.io originally as the means of representing the data. During the first 2 years, we went for refining the tool by adding an extra internally built tool, Crossway Visualizer, to represent the generated output. We also added support for other types of diagrams like inheritance and interface diagrams. The tool was available for both direct usage or as a plugin in Eclipse. Both of them are still available today, but we're going to focus our presentation on the VS Code extension. This year, with the help of AI, we managed to develop the VS Code equivalent of Crossway as an extension with surprising speed, enabling us to extend the original functionality even further. We currently support various types of diagrams, and moreover, we integrated the use of AI in some of them. This time, the base of our analysis is using the Xref output, which are automatically generated by Riverside extension as compared to Eclipse plugin where the Xref output was generated in the tool itself. These are some of the features of CrossWayAI. We have automated project analysis, support for both Windows and Unix, single and multi-project workspace support, dependency mapping, integrated AI support for table relations, and node functional description. And now we're working on ProParse support to extend the Xref output. And now the fun part. I will leave Vasile to demo the part of CrossWay.
Thank you, Mihai. I'll first start with sharing my screen on the VS Code because that's what we're talking about now, and the extension that we built. So you can all see my screen now. Yeah, so about the CrossWay extension itself, it's easy to install directly from the extension tab of VS Code. We just simply type in here CrossWay keyword, and it normally finds it automatically, and then you have the install button, you just install it and you're good to go. For the README, you have the complete documentation on what this extension does and what are the requirements, like basic configuration things and basic dependencies. Then you need to install most over also the provided support towards using the AI as a simple configuration in the extension itself, and so much and so on with the rest of the documentation. It's a quick and easy to use tutorial. First things first are mentioned in here, and then it's also showing off what is actually supported for now. All right, for the showcasing, I've chosen a sample backend OpenEdge project, a simple project workspace, which is built internally over here at Wayfair, mostly designed for training purposes as well and other things. We also have one database connected to it. The project is called Wayspace BE. I just added this suffix for now just to showcase certain examples which I found more useful for today. So what do you, as a user, as a developer, need to do first after you install it? Well, first things first, because we're using the Riverside's OpenEdge ABL, you need to make sure your code base is actually fully compiled. So that means running the ABL rebuild project, for example. You also see that in our output channel. We also capture a lot of other things, like when the Xref gets created by Riverside, that CrossWay captures this information and produces an extra safety push towards our repository of dependencies. Next, there is also a complete build command for CrossWay as well. So that is called generate dependency map. So if you run this command, it will actually fully refresh the repository by collecting all the Xref information and putting it into a internal repository, which is represented by this dsmap.json. As you can see, there's also all the files captured in here. Then we are capturing the links between those and extra information for the file nodes and all the other meta information that we needed at runtime. All right. So now that we have the complete repository created, I would go first and show off a few examples, and we start off with a call diagram. And for that reason, I picked up a quick example. We have in this code base here a class which is called label business entity. So if we want to see, okay, what is this class involved in terms of being called or called something else, then we just simply go with the right click and then we select the call option and move this out of the way. It's taking, for the first initialization of the viewer, it's taking a few more seconds extra, but after that we should be good to go. Yeah, so this is what the call diagram for this label business entity class looks like. We can zoom in, zoom out, pan, drag, and so on. So we can focus on other things. One minor remark, but I'll come back to this one later. We also have tooltip information. We can see what kind of methods are invoked in between, or like if it's run procedure involved or anything like that. So this is one example using the OOP concept, and then I have some other example also available for the procedural part. And for that one, I have picked up another file from the repository, the code base. Of course, at the first glance, you see that the code is really minor here, but then further down deep, from the complete picture, you see the whole thing. So it's not necessarily all the way or all the times that at runtime you will go through each of these paths, but this data collection of the references between files is actually based on the static analysis of the file, of the complete file. So based on your functionalities, it may go through certain paths at some point or through other paths. And you can see everything happening here. You can also see what kind of internal procedures are actually called between these nodes. So in this example, we see that the load user context.p is calling certain internal procedures like destroy session from session manager persistent. And of course, you can easily also navigate to that particular file by just double clicking on that node. Yeah. So you see those internal procedures in here. Okay, let's move on to some other examples, which I found really effective when understanding the code. And what I would like to showcase is the include file reference diagrams. So I'm going to pick up another file here. I have a timetable include file here called TT questions. And I would like to see what is the include diagram for it. I would like to see where this file is actually involved in terms of being referenced as include. And all of a sudden I have the complete picture, and I can see that the direct access to it is done from this.p here. And I have the dataset questions.i, which is referencing it via or from all of these other classes. And of course, there's another dataset referencing it by these other two classes. So I guess this is a really good example that when you have something, some adjustment to perform against the timetable structure, and you want to know ahead which types of functionality are going to be affected by that, that all of a sudden from the complete picture, you get the idea directly. The other way around, if you want to see what kind of includes references are behind a piece of code, like a class or a .p or something like that, you simply have to look it up by just picking the file and say, okay, I want to see what's behind these include files in here, but I don't want to navigate directly in each file, but I just want to see the picture. So you're just going to select again, include diagram, and surprise, surprise, you have the complete tree view here, where you see all the possible references towards include files. So then you come again and say, okay, well, this is relevant because, for example, I didn't know where a certain timetable include is actually being used actively by that particular piece of code. So this is how you quickly find it. All right. Then we have some other scenario also related to the include files. Let me close some of these. With the procedural example, and I have another thing here ready for you. For example, we have this .p. Of course, you see all the includes files, which are not necessarily timetables definitions, but actually code snippets. And the same, we'll just pick up the include reference command, and then you can see how these include files interact with each other, how they are actually embedded in one another. Right? And for example, if I would like to see the other way around, I can simply just use this particular include file, and I want to see what is this involved in terms of includings. And of course, it's just focusing again the diagram against that particular node. So that's why the diagram looks a bit different now. Right? We're done with the include examples. I want to showcase now the inheritance diagram, which actually represents a complete tree view of the inheritance a class is involved in. So let's try this other example. And let's try this one with inheritance this time. So data importer class, as you see, is the superclass of these other levels of inheritance. And then, of course, you just don't see the first level with a complete view, but also other underlying levels of inheritance and how they actually are represented in this tree view. And I found this really useful. For example, when you have, like in this example, a larger tree of inheritance, and you're not really sure if certain bits of functionalities belong to the right location, and you might want to move certain things around, like when you want to switch inheritance from a certain node to actually be on an upper level or a lower level or even a new branch or things like that. So that's what I would use this diagram for. We also developed the instance chain diagram, and that's useful to see, for example, when a certain instance of an object is actually used and how it might be used in terms of other instances. So for that matter, I prepared this example here. And we're using the instance chain diagram this time. So we can see that, for example, the email manager class is actually instantiated by this email manager service interface. And in turn, the email manager is actually making an instance of this other class, which is, of course, behind this other node. Let me see if I can zoom out of here so we can see the name. Yeah. And of course, with this extra UI experience events, we actually try to come up with helping the developer figuring out a certain path and see how that is actually affected. We also see these procedure library references of objects, like in this example, the standard progress lang apparel. Then we also found interesting to present an interface diagram with two different focuses, of course. I have some other example already. Give me a second, please. Let's close all of these now so we have a clear thing. So in this project, just for the example of it, we introduced this class, which we see it's implementing certain interfaces, but we do not know all from the bat which interface is actually used by who else. So for that matter, we said, okay, let's make it happen. So we're drawing the interface diagram now, and this is what it means. So in this example, we already see that certain pieces of interfaces, like all of the reference interfaces by the Smart Home Hub class, are actually also referenced by some other classes. So this might mean that if you have in mind things like, let's put methods from the Smart Home Hub in a certain interface, I want to see which other classes are actually affected by this, because they're going to have to implement it, and so on. So if we want to be more focused on the interface, however, we can actually go for one of these, for example, for an interface which is actually used by Smart Hub and see, okay, can we have a clearer picture here now about the interface? Where is this interface actually actively referenced? And we all of a sudden see all of them. And of course, you can navigate to other objects and so on, and you can see the interface for these ones as well, and so on. Okay. Another type of interface we found useful as well in terms of possible package refactoring is the package diagram. So we made an example here for a certain class, which is part of a bigger picture, bigger package. So in this example, I want to see, okay, what does this class belong to in terms of the package? So let's see if I can put it bigger. Yeah. You see, this is the, oh, I already spotted a duplicate class, but it's just something random. We have the main package, which is the root from the source directory. And then we have all of these classes being referenced directly from that root. And then we have also sub-packages like query helper, files, data type, and so on. This is how they are actually structured together in the same main package. So if you want to change, for example, the sub-package of a certain class, then you can quickly identify where do I want to move a certain class in another branch of this tree. All right. Then we also considered that the property access might be useful, which is something similar to the instance chain diagram. But this time we're just handling the property access, not the new statements. So let's have an example like that. So in this example, you see that there's certain properties being accessed, and we can see which of those. So in this sense, hybrid realm class is actually using the singleton instance property of this raw business entity. And in turn, this one is actually accessing dataset handle and key field properties from the base business entities and so on. We also see the property access to procedure library reference classes as well. All right, so these were pretty much the focused type of diagrams. We also showcase in more general overview type of diagram, which we called impact diagram. And this one is actually presenting a complete picture of the complete interaction of a certain node within the whole application with all types of links between and towards it. So I'll choose this example, which is a bit narrower, I think. We're doing the impact diagram now. So what we can see here is all types of links and the way they're chained together. So in this case, we have certain invoke, then we have instantiation here, and then we have include file reference. We also have invoke and property, in this case, performed by these other classes. And of course, you can still navigate to any node in the diagram. So for example, if I want to see, okay, what does this one do here actually? Well, I get to it and I see the code. And that's pretty much the quick navigation that you can do directly from the node from the diagram. And let's see more to real lifetime example, or close to lifetime. Let's see how an impact diagram looks like for a class like this, for a business entity in this application. So I'm going to see the impact diagram of it. Let's close these ones. So we're already getting ourselves into a deeper sea. As you can see, what kind of diagram can it develop like that? But of course, we added some extra help in navigating this diagram. And that's why we added the zoom functionality, and we added the node navigation. If you position on a certain node, then you can go directly to it by just double clicking on it and so on. Also, we introduced the searching of certain keyword nodes. So in this example, I'm going to try to see if users business entity is actually referenced. Users business entity. Okay, it already sees some hits. And there's two. We don't have yet the direct focus on those nodes, but I can see results happening. And they're actually highlighted in green in this case. So I can go to those and spot what they are and how they're actually interacting with my other file. Also, on the nodes, we are presenting any database access happening from the file. So in this case, we see the user's business entity actually accessing the users table from the WastePaid database. So that's a quick and easy to show off. And then let me see what else I would like to show you. We also have, as you saw, a really nice icon here So for example, if you want to see on a certain node what kind of functionality is involved behind it, you have that option. I'll just pick one randomly here to say, okay, what is the functional description of this one? So this is one of examples where AI is used actively, and this is how we use it. We just click on the button, and all of a sudden we see a functional description of what that file does. And everything like that is happening at runtime. So if you go on a different file and press again on that icon file, choose another one. What does it say about the temp table? I'm just curious. Yeah, okay, so good to go. I already understand what's going on, so I can move on as a developer. More to it, we also have the functionality of filtering out the depth of what to represent in the diagram. So for example, if I zoom out and I say, okay, let's filter this one better, just gonna showcase the number of direct links from the source node to something else. So in this case, if I filter better and I say, okay, I want to see only direct access, at the first glance, this seems confusing, but it's actually valid. And the reason for that is that you see all these red lines here, they're actually representing possible server references. So in this case, your answer business entity is actually using something from user business entity. And then in the other way around is actually user business entity is making some usage of the answer business entity. So that's the reason why it picks up also other links which are not directly in the first level of that. Apart from that, we also have the functionality of excluding certain nodes from the complete diagram. So you have situations like you have a multiple workspace, multiple project workspace, where you have multiple folders in multiple source directories in the project, and you want to exclude some of those references because you're not interested in those, you know what they do. So like if you have a framework project, then you know what the framework does, how is it used, and you're only interested in the functionality behind the application interaction of files. So for that matter, we introduce this support by having a configuration file. Also, you can see here where we configure the AI to be used in the CrossWay extension, and that's what we do. That's how we do it. We just put this enable on true. We also have different handling. Naturally, I was using the VS Code support, but you can do also external tools, external AI tools. And then for the exclude, I prepared this example. So in this original diagram, the impact answer business entity, I want to make sure I want to exclude the user's business entity, so I don't see it anymore. See what it does. So I need to go back and regenerate the diagram. Let's see what that was. So you see, all of a sudden, this diagram became a lot smaller, and we are not focusing on the user's business entity access anymore and whatever it brings behind it. So we're just showing the rest of it. Okay. Yeah, let's try for the update example. So for that matter, I'm going to show you how we actively refresh our diagram depending on the code behind it. So let's move on to this example. No, sorry, not this one. I have another one ready. Activate session topic. So we see this file, and then we, for example, we have the impact diagram of it, and then we see this picture. And of course, we identify the calls towards the validate session, the load user context, and even the include file being referenced in here. So if we comment the code out, save it, of course, there's automatic refresh happening in the background. And eventually we're gonna refresh this diagram and we don't see that happening. And the same goes if you want to also add extra calls, like if you have some other .ps which you prepared ahead and you want to inject the calling of those in this file, it would do the same. It would just refresh and you would see the diagram actually getting larger. But in this case, I just want to see that happening, that if I update it, if I update the code, the corresponding diagram in the viewer is actually refreshed as well. Okay, some other things. You can also do right-click on the node and you have other options. One of them is the located in the XREF file if you're interested in actually analyzing the XREF information. Maybe there's something that we missed, you don't know. Maybe you want to address something that we actually not handled already. Then you also have a quick reference towards the XREF file generated by Riverside extension. And I'm just going to mention this, but we are not completely ready with it. We're working on it. We also introduced the ProParse functionality, which is actually a syntactic code output. So we also have, for that matter, an option available here, but it's only showing the ProParse tree of tokens and nothing else for now. We are actually actively involved currently in preparing the sequence diagram, flow diagram based on this. And we're going to come back to that in a further session. All right. Apart from this, I also want to refresh our memory, and you already saw that there's something extra happening in the background. We have the CrossWayAI log output channel. This is where all processes actually output information. There's extra logging actually happening in a specific file, which is CrossWayAI log. So that's where you see things like when XREF is actually collected, if something else happening in the background, you can see errors, if any, and things like that. There's only one more thing I would like to show. Hopefully it's working. And I mean by that, we also have a table relationship diagram, which is actually AI based. So everything is actually handled by AI. And it usually took us, it's taking over here on the Visual Studio Code something like a few minutes, maybe 2, 3, 5, depending on what's going on in the background, how it determines how to run it. So I'm just going to first show you how it actually managed to generate it minutes before the meeting we have now. So that usually happens in Mermaid folder or CrossWayAI folder here. So we have a table relationship diagram for the complete database. And if we want to have a look at it, this is how it looks like. So we don't have too many tables, but we have some. And you will see here information about the relationship between those. However, AI identified it. We also instructed by a prompt, and you saw it probably. You will see that if I trigger it. There's a list of statements in there, a list of prompts that it takes into consideration, and then it builds something like this, where it identifies the links based on the name, data type, and the column being part of a primary key or a foreign key. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I believe I'm done with my presentation. I'll switch to Mihai now for any other information we have. Thank you.
I see we have 2 questions. Maybe it's good to pick them up now. One question is how to investigate report issues when the code itself cannot be shared. Share the MD file. Not sure I understand what is your question here, Carl. So you cannot share the code. The idea of CrossWayAI is to be an addition to the project. And of course, it has access to all the files, and let's say the diagrams are based on the XREF file generator. So what we do in VS Code extension, we use the Riverside extension to have access to the XREF compiled files, and then we use those to represent the relations between those files.
Well, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
What I mean is, yesterday I installed the extension and I got results on some of the diagrams, but then I got an error on other diagrams. But in the error, there is a mention of a diagram MD file, and that's what I am referring to. If maybe if we share the MD file, then that's something that you would be able to see what causes the diagram error.
I may interfere now, Carl. Thank you for your question. I believe I understand your concern. Usually, we might not have been very clear, or maybe the documentation, the README file of the extension is actually quite extensive, and you need to actually read it through pretty much like a Bible. There's a lot of information there, but some of it in the first steps mentions something like you first need to make sure the extract files are actually generated, and by that, you need to definitely trigger the Riverside ABL rebuild project that makes sure of the extract being correctly outputted first in the builder folder of Riverside. And then based on this, you need to run first the generate dependency map of CrossWay, which will actually collect the information from XREF and prepare the DS map JSON. Afterwards, you can already start using the different types of diagram commands. And normally all those should work correctly. And when you run a command, a specific command for a specific diagram, it outputs an MD file, like I was showing you. Maybe I didn't show you, you probably didn't see, but I can share my screen again for that matter quickly. Let me see, I'm gonna share this one. And let's go back to Visual Studio Code. So you see over here, under the CrossWayAI folder, beneath the workspace root, there's all the generated diagrams that I've been showcasing. So you can go back to it. And of course, you can still view it again by just using the view diagram option. So you're going to get back to it. And again, you can do the same for other ones that you prepared already, even for the table relations, which was built by AI and so on. Does this answer your question?
Well, it's when the view diagram itself then displays an error, syntax error in text, mermaid version 10.9.6.
Okay, that's a first. We didn't experience this one, but it's probably having to do.
It's like, so probably if I just deliver that MD file to you,
that
you
will
will
be
able to see what is wrong in the MD file.
Indeed. You can set the MD file together with like a screenshot of that error that you see or some logging that you get. That would be really helpful for us, of course.
Okay, that was a really good question.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have another question. Do you also have a VSIX file or a direct way to use the extension in Cursor? Maybe Vasily can pick this one up.
Yes. So the VSIX file is actually the file which is published on the Visual Studio Marketplace. So if you go to the Visual Studio Marketplace, and you can also download, I believe. I never did it like that. I was always using the VS Code, but you can possibly, most probably, do this. So let me see if I can showcase that one. Right. Let's get back to this one. Share. Sharing the right one. Give me a second. I'm not too good with broadcasting. All right. Okay. So usually, if you go to the Visual Studio Code Marketplace and go here, you should be able to download it, I believe, also. And you can manually install it. We actually do this approach by manually installing our development environments. So I can see it's showcasing a download icon, but I'm not sure if it's actually that one you can do here. install. Don't see it. But what you can actually do, instead of going to here, you can go actually to the repository itself. That's one thing. So there's a public repository where we're actually hosting the extension, the code behind it. And you have build folder here where you can actually see the exact VSIX, and we keep the complete history of it. So you can simply just go and download it yourself, I guess. Just go here, download raw file. Okay.
Okay, I hope this answers your question. And yeah, I see another question: which proparse is being used? Is that the Riverside proparse? Yeah, we're using the open source proparse version. I think it's from John Green, the one which we're using. Yeah.
As far as I remember from my colleagues, we were actually focusing on the actively maintained version from consulting work. If I'm not mistaken, that's my fact that I believe it's actually involved in that one as well. So we don't, we updated pretty recent the version of proparse that they have to be used in our extension. So yeah, I guess this answers it.
Yes, this answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, should we move to some other questions?
Okay, if there are other questions, we can pick them up now. I think we can continue on our agenda with the wrap-up part. Yeah, we have some limitations in the implementation so far. Yeah, you need to have your own AI subscriptions to use the features of CrossWay, of course. We have diagrams nodes which are fixed, so we cannot drag and drop in the diagram. And we currently support only ABL code from version 11.7. Upcoming features, working on the next versions for sequence and flow diagrams, using proparse, of course. We have some UI UX improvements on the roadmap, like navigation, VS Code dedicated title, initial setup, and the extension of validations. We actually received really good feedback on Discord about this, so we're actively considering the feedback we receive and try to improve the product. And we want to extend CrossWayAI viewer node menu. Yeah. These two extensions, the CrossWayAI and also the ABL Unit Runner, are free to use. They're still in development. New features and bug fixes are added constantly. We encourage you to provide any kind of feedback as we're striving to add value to the Progress community. Yeah, if there are any questions. If not, well, thank you for joining the session. Of course, if you have any questions or any feedback, please feel free to contact us on our website, on email, or on social networks. We are happy to answer every question and check every feedback. Thank you, and see you on our next webinar.